Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome to another interview here on youtube.com/DanielGuys412, and joined with me today, this evening, whenever you're watching this video, is a friend of mine. His name is Omar Zaki. Omar, I hope I pronounced that right, first of all.
Absolute nailed it.
Good. I always want to make sure I get the last name right. Well, he is an actor, stuntman. He does parkour. He's been on Fox. We'll talk about that. He's really done it all. I mean, he is just
Oh
his work's
boy.
incredible. Links to all of his information can be found down below. But less talk from me, more talk from you, Omar. Well, first I want to say thank you for coming on the channel. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I guess I got my whole start in the industry as a parkour athlete. As you said, I've been doing parkour for just about 10 years now. And then about 5 years ago, I started branching out into acting, exploring that a little bit, exploring more stunt skills like martial arts and weapon work, and getting into stunt falling, and started making my own videos then as well with my friends, and started getting pretty heavy into YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And then that has just continued, and I have slowly built myself up as a well-rounded performer with fight skills. Like I said, general martial arts, parkour would
Mm-hmm.
still be my specialty, and acting, and just my filmmaking as well. I've just really tried to level everything up pretty evenly,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm never too I don't know, too many points in one skill set. I'm really trying to be as well-rounded as I can. And I've definitely learned a lot along the way, and I've
Mm-hmm.
had some really, really great people help me and teach me and give me opportunities that have helped me learn and grow. But I still have so much more to learn, and I, just can't wait to continue down this path and just ride it as long as I can.
Nice. Well, I want to kind of go back to what was there a big inspiration early on growing up? What attracted you to this genre, to the parkour, the martial arts, action move? Like, is there something really that just made you go, I want to do that?
I
Anything?
mean, I've always been like a monkey. Like I always loved climbing and jumping on things. I love Jackie Chan. Everyone loves Jackie Chan.
Yes.
Big fan of Star Wars. Like the lightsaber fights in
Mm,
Star Wars just got me so crazy as a
hmm.
kid. My favorite Lord of the movies are Lord of the Rings. My favorite
Nice.
character being Aragorn, in that, the sword slinging ruffian, like just
Wow.
so freaking cool. And yeah, and all that stuff I think just led me down this path. And I think that I've actually been on this path a lot longer than I realized. I didn't realize that I've always kind of been like
Hmm.
a show off. It's funny, they call you a show off when you're young, but when you grow up, they call you an entertainer.
Right.
Um, so I've definitely always been a show off, and then loved performing and loved showing off, as I said,
Yeah.
and then just started learning the craft behind that, and started to
Hmm.
hone actual skills that would serve me in the entertainment industry. And then obviously individual athletes. There are parkour athletes that the people that I watch. There are two guys mainly. One of them's name is Daniel Ilabaka. The
Hmm.
other's name is Ryan Doyle. These two guys were like my biggest inspiration
Mm.
getting into parkour, and I'm where I am now because of them.
Nice. Very nice. What was your first project, or as far as in terms of, let's talk about acting here, the first project you had the chance to work on? What was that like, and when was that roughly?
Like my own projects that.
Well, we could go with that, or just maybe a feature length, like, but in terms of Hollywood, because I know you've done that as well. I mean, whatever way you want to answer this question is fine.
I mean, I'm still relatively new to acting. I
Yeah.
don't have any. I don't have any
Okay.
big credits at all. I guess
Okay.
like my biggest credit would be The Geek on Ultimate Tag, but that's
Hmm.
also not your
Okay.
traditional TV show because that's a reality TV show.
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, started. I guess like the first video that I really ever like tried my hand at acting in was an Avatar: The Last Airbender short film that I
Ooh.
did with my friends 5 years ago,
Uh huh.
and I shaved my head for that. I had about the same amount of hair that I have now, and I
Wow.
and I shaved my head so I could portray Aang,
Hmm.
the main character of that series. And you know, the acting is not good in it, but
Hmm.
that's how you learn, is you
Right.
you do, and then you grow because of it. And now I go back and I watch it and I see a lot of things that I could have done to make it better. And then continued making videos with that filmmaker. His
Hmm.
name is Ryan Glass. His YouTube channel is Wake Up to Ryan, and we did
Nice.
we started to do a bunch of projects and just got more and more comfortable acting on camera, and
Mm-hmm.
still have a long way to go. Once I moved to LA, I started taking actual acting classes. I've now been in a number of student films at filmmaking universities that are looking for actors
Mm-hmm.
that want experience, but they're also like they're not going to bring you on if they don't think you can do a good job. So
Right.
I'm also honored to have been brought onto those projects to continue to learn and grow.
In terms of what you'd like to do, I'm kind of jumping all over here, but is
No,
there?
not at all.
Okay, cool. Is there a particular genre that you haven't done yet, like that you really want to sink your teeth into? Like, oh,
I mean, I feel like it's funny because I do a lot of my own projects,
yeah,
and because I do a lot of my own projects, I'm writing the characters,
yeah,
and usually I write myself as a certain way,
yeah,
like because in real life I'm kind of a goofball,
yeah.
and so I write myself as like the lovable idiot,
Mm-hmm.
but like obviously that's just one side of me. Like I have very intimate conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
My friends and I talk very in depth and very intelligently about politics in the U.S. And so like everyone
Mm-hmm.
has these multiple sides of them. So I think I need to do more real, grounded acting that is not so like, hey, look at me, I'm the
Let's have
goofball.
fun. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so like I definitely know that there's so much more that I can be doing in terms of acting,
Mm-hmm.
and whether it's myself writing different roles for me,
Yep.
um, that's one thing, or just continuing to pursue
Mm-hmm.
roles out there for anybody else or other student films and whatnot. But definitely my favorite genre is action. Obviously, that's why I am an action performer and an action actor.
Nice. Now I'm looking here. I have your IMDb pulled up, and I'll include that link down in the description box. Just look at everything that you've done here. You've been an actor in 14 projects on here listed on IMDb. I'm sure there's more that you've done, as well. So you've done stunts. It looks like you've done editing, directing, writing, producing, cinematography. Is there a particular aspect that really stands out that you really like the most? Is it acting, stunt work, or is there like something that you really like, or you like it all? Like, does it matter to you, or is there one? You know what I mean? Like something that really is just like, oh, I love it.
It's so funny because I like each of them for their own reasons.
Yeah.
Like directing is really, really nice because then you don't need to worry about performing on camera, and you can just focus completely on
Mm-hmm.
using your friends and bringing this story to life that you see so clearly in your head. So directing is great.
Mm-hmm.
Filming is its own thing. Like I can really immerse myself in any one of those categories, but at the end of the day, my favorite is always going to be performing
Right.
and pushing myself to the limits, whether it's pushing myself physically to learn a fight scene, to learn a new skill, or pushing myself, in emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
intimately to connect with another person on camera and to be able to zone everything else out and to just focus on this one person. So performing at the end of the day is the number one, is the top of the list.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, in terms of your parkour, when did you begin that training process in your life? You said that was at a relatively young age when you began that.
Well, I've been an athlete my whole life.
Yep.
I was really big into soccer
Mm-hmm.
and track. Track was my main sport. I've done volleyball, swimming, and diving.
Wow.
But I found parkour when I started doing parkour when I was 16,
Mm-hmm.
but I found it online when I was 12. I started
Wow.
seeing parkour videos, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But then I didn't even try it because I did not think I could do it. I was
Yep.
like, oh, that's an amazing thing that other people can do, and I'm not one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And then a parkour gym opened up near me when I was 16, and my stepdad encouraged me to go. So my best friend and I, who were on the dive team,
Mm-hmm.
we did flips in the water. We weren't incredible, but we also weren't awful.
Yeah.
And we went to this parkour gym and we took a lesson and we just fell in love with it, man.
Mm.
And we pretty much just started dropping all of the sports that we were doing, like
Mm-hmm.
left and right, just to focus on parkour. We started training 3 days a week, 4 days a week, watching tutorials, watching like every parkour video that our favorite athletes or our favorite parkour teams released. And we just got so immersed in parkour. And then we became instructors and we were able to learn even faster because now we worked at a gym and we were there like 8 hours a day, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. And it just rocketed like our skills in parkour just because it was the only thing like we were doing.
Yeah. Wow. I watch your videos, like I said, as often as I can. And I know you really upload some great content. Like on Instagram, it's just like a video here, a video there. You're just flipping, flying. I'm like, holy crap. If I tried one of those, I'd break my back. There's no way. But it's just like, you just pick it up with ease. I mean, I guess it's just, wow, it's incredible. It really is incredible to watch.
Well, hey man, again, when I started, I didn't think I could do anything.
Yeah.
And then I started with the absolute basics and fell in love with the basics and then trained the crap out of the basics
Right.
and then just slowly built
Build
my way
yourself.
up. And then over 10 years, like literally anyone
10
can do parkour. Absolutely anyone can do parkour. Any body size, any age. Like
Okay.
I've seen 70-year-olds learning
Wow.
parkour. 70. I've seen people not hugely overweight, but
Yeah.
like really so many different body sizes, people
Hmm.
with disabilities. Like, so I don't let anyone ever say like, oh, I could never do parkour. I was like, you
Yes.
absolutely could. The ability and the scale at which you could do parkour
Hmm.
might not be the same as my own, because yeah, yes, I have been a natural athlete my whole life,
Right.
but anyone can learn the basics of parkour and then take it from there.
I was gonna say, what's the main key? Like, I know you mentioned training, consistency. Is there like a key to success? Like something that you recommend for somebody that says watching this video and
For
what should?
parkour specifically,
Yeah, just talking about that.
I mean the main fundamental skill in parkour is landing
Hmm.
on the ground,
Yep.
because no matter what skill you do, you go up, you always come down afterwards.
Right.
So you need to be able to come down safely, whether you're vaulting over a small wall and you land on the other side and you run away, or you
Hmm.
drop down from a high wall, or you do a flip and you land on the ground. All of that ends with landing on the ground. So
Hmm.
being able to land with control, I believe, is the most important thing, whether that's, doing squats to strengthen your ankles, to strengthen your quads,
Hmm.
just doing jumping jacks to be light on your toes and feel how to control your body, learning to do a parkour roll if you ever drop down from something and you need to roll to dissipate some of that energy. Yeah, so to me, that is the most important skill.
In terms of parkour on film, are there any particular parkour, chases, fights, that puts it all together that really stand out to you, like off the top of your head, that really are like, oh my gosh, how did they do that?
Well, I mean, Jackie Chan obviously
Yeah.
has numerous action scenes that incorporate parkour. It's never just like a strict parkour scene with Jackie Chan. It's always a
Yep.
jumble of everything. So him definitely. Jesse LaFleur did like a 5-minute parkour chase scene on Hawaii 5-0,
Oh wow.
and I believe it's the longest chase scene like on camera in terms of like beginning of the chase to the end of the chase.
Hmm.
That's a great chase scene. Sebastian Foucault, who was credited as one of the founders of free running and Casino Royale with
Yes.
Daniel Craig,
I was waiting for it.
obviously, like, I mean, that like
Whew.
catapulted parkour into the spotlight. A lot
Oh
of
wow.
people did not know what parkour was until that movie came out, and so that was really fantastic. Um,
Hmm.
those are the only ones I can think of right now that really stand out.
I'm glad you brought up, as a huge fan of Bond, James Bond.
Yes,
I'm glad you
yes.
brought that one. That one is still. That's probably the first time, like you mentioned, for me at a young age. I remember seeing that in theaters. I had no idea what parkour was. And I'm seeing him going up and down, and left and right, and bing bonging through the elevators, and just holy crap, was he incredible in that?
Yep, he's awesome. I
Wow.
guess I have to say District B13, because that was
Okay.
with David Bell,
Mm.
who is credited with the founding of parkour. So yeah, and then Brick Mansions was like the modern day remake
Mm-hmm.
of District B13, and that had, who was it? I can't remember the actor, but I believe David Bell was also in that movie, and that movie came out like 10 or 15 years later after
Wow.
District B13, which they remade the movie after. And they almost did the exact same parkour chase scene
Oh no way.
15 years later. I think they may have even used like the same locations.
Huh.
Um, you'd have to double check me on that, but
Okay.
yeah. So both those movies as well have great scenes.
Nice. Now, in terms of your parkour, routines and what you've done, what's been the most challenging? Like run you've had to do, like type of stunt that's even just like, oh crap, how am I gonna do this? And how did you get through that? Like, did you have any difficulty, fear, any anxiety? Does that really bother you? You're just so used to it where it's just like, I got this. I know what I'm doing. My body's used to it. I don't have to, You know what I mean?
I mean, when I was first learning parkour and
Mm.
free running, parkour being just like the running, jumping,
Yep.
climbing over things, and then the free running becoming like the flipping, more
Mm-hmm.
acrobatic, more creative aspect of it. When I was first learning how to twist,
Mm.
I had a very, very, very difficult time learning how to twist, like doing a backflip with a full twist or
Wow.
a front flip with a full twist. And a lot of the friends that I was training with were picking things up like super, super, super fast. It was very discouraging to see them like nail things first try, and I'd have to go to the
Mm-hmm.
gym, 10, 20 times in order to land the same trick once. But eventually, after a lot of work, like it just unlocked, a part of my brain, and I was able to twist much easier. So that was definitely a great like mental achievement for me.
Okay.
Seeing the fact that like even if you don't get something right away and your friends do, like you
Mm-hmm.
can still work for it and then get it. And a lot of those friends have since quit parkour and they don't
Oh.
do it anymore. Maybe it's because it was, I don't know, super easy and they didn't need to work so hard.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as satisfying when you actually get something. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's all the little battles of
Mm-hmm.
parkour, of encountering an obstacle or a move or whatever thing and literally believing with all your heart that you
Mm-hmm.
cannot do it, and then training and practicing and progressing to prove yourself wrong and to unlock a new capability for yourself that you did not think was possible. And that is just an incredible, it's the best feeling in the world. And it's not adrenaline, it's
Yeah.
not crazy energy, it's just acknowledging that we, whether it's in parkour or in other aspects of life, we are so much more capable than we believe we are. I think as humans we sell ourselves short.
Yes.
And training parkour has really, really shown me that like your first instinct about whether you can do something or not really has no
Mm-hmm.
like validation whatsoever.
Hmm. Nice. Nice. Now, in terms of I have your resume pulled up. Well, your film projects that you've done on here. The one that I wanted to ask you about was the Disturbed music video. I believe it's called
Oh
"Are You
man.
Ready?" I like
Yeah.
that one a lot with the little drone thing. It's like beep 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 beep, beep, and you're like,
Yep. Yep.
oh, because I love Disturbed. They're a great kick-ass, metal band. Talk about that. How did that opportunity come about, and what was it like, filming it? Because it looked like you had a lot of fun.
Dude, that video
Mm.
was a blast. I had almost just moved to LA. I don't think I had even been in LA for like a full month yet
Mm-hmm.
when someone that I had worked with previously, someone had contacted him, or he found out that someone needed a parkour athlete, and he came straight to me because we
Mm.
had worked together, and I was just the first parkour athlete that came to his mind. Christian Stokes, he's
Mm-hmm.
a super awesome guy, and
Nice.
threw the opportunity my way, and I sent them my stuff, and they hired me, I think, like right on the spot,
Wow.
and told me it was going to be one day. We ended up doing 2 days, and luckily these guys went about it the right way, because they knew when we were actually filming on the day, they knew we were only going to have 3 hours to film
Oh, wow.
most of the parkour scenes. And so they took me to the location like a few days before, and we scouted out like everything that was possible, and we like planned what spot we were going to film at first, number 2, number 3, and had a great flow of things, so that when we actually started filming on the day,
Mm-hmm.
everyone was ready to go and to like knock out these 3 hours. And I got to admit, that was one of the toughest days of my life,
Wow.
because there are 2 parts to the music video. There's the parts where I'm on top of the roof running
Yep.
away from the drones, and then I go inside the building
Mm-hmm.
for the second half, and then I'm running through corridors and tunnels and whatnot. We could only be on the roof for 3 hours. The building, we had like tons of time, but also there wasn't a lot that we could do inside the building, so that was mainly just running.
Okay.
But again, on top of the roof, they wanted to get as much parkour as possible, and they came to me. They're like, "Hey, Omar, like we can shoot as much as you can perform, so we're only going to be limited by your stamina and your ability.
Oh, wow.
So obviously, be safe."
Yeah.
Like take care of yourself, but also like we need you to deliver as much as you can in these 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the summer, and they put 3 layers of black clothing on me
Oh, yeah.
because they wanted me to look like rebellious, like hacker,
Yeah.
like vigilante type. and it was heavy clothes, and it was hot. Like we went from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Luckily, we started in the morning, but
Okay.
like even by 7:30 or 8 a.m., like I was complete. I've never been more sweaty in my life, ever, absolutely ever.
Wow.
And I am so happy to say that I never had to ask them
Yeah.
to take like 30 seconds for me to catch my breath. Like I was always like ready to go, had just caught my breath by the time they finished setting up the new camera angle or something. And like I worked with super, super great people. And that was, like I said, that was my, like the first big project that I'd done since I moved to LA. And it was the first time where there were like 30 people or 20 to 30 people behind the camera doing everything, behind the scenes to pull off the music video. And
Okay.
I was the only person on camera. And for me, like I was already marking that in my head as like, this is a landmark moment for me to have, these different cameras and these drones and people with like brooms to sweep up the spots to make sure that they weren't slippery, people with water on standby to like give me water the second I needed it. Like that was a landmark day and a landmark shoot for me. And it's scary because at a time like that, I don't have a replacement. There was no stunt double, and so I'm like, and again, I was the only person running in the video. The other shots were of the band and of the background just at the club scene, except for one other guy who comes in and he saves me and he brings me into the room at the end. But so I was thinking, I was like, if I get hurt, like this music video like is going to go out the window right now.
Right.
And so like I have to deliver as much as I possibly can to make this as good as I can and to make them happy. But also I cannot hurt myself and screw these people over because everyone's riding on me and my ability to keep myself safe.
Wow.
And as I was standing there, looking at all these people watching me on camera, I'm like, this is what I want. Like this is the exact opportunity that I have trained for, that I have prepared for, and that I am now ready to deliver on. And it ended up working out great. And I like so happy with how the music video turned out. And I got to meet the band, and they were super nice.
I was gonna ask, what was it like meeting the guys? Were they pretty cool?
They were so chill. Like
Nice.
they're people that have been in this for a long time. They've made tons of music videos, so this is just another day for them. But they, still. Like we're having a good time. They were nice to everyone, and then when it was time for them to perform, like they knocked it out of the park. They were, they killed themselves for that music video. So it was really, really cool to just be there and just be a part of that process.
Did you get to do any other music videos besides, or has that been the only one so far?
I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5, 6 music videos that I can think of immediately.
Wow.
4 of them have not come out yet because I just did 3 of them in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Just fairly recent. Okay, nice.
1, 2, 3. No, 3 of them in the past month. Yeah, 2 of them were last week right before Atlanta, which was super, super awesome, like super, super great. One of them is a Chris Brown music video that is coming out. Another one of them is for a rapper named Dax. He's an incredible rapper. One of them is for Alec Benjamin. Okay. Alec Benjamin. Not yet, Alec Baldwin.
I was gonna say, what? He's singing now?
No, Alec Benjamin. Okay. But yeah, music videos are cool. They're fun.
Now, crap, just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Very fine.
What was I gonna ask you? In terms of, I had a really good question. Oh, the What If, the project you work with Rustig on. I wanted to definitely. I love that film. I watched it like 5-6 times. I thought you guys knocked that one out of the park. Now I already got Rustig's perspective on it. What was it like working with? Was that the first project you ever worked with Rustig on, or have you before?
I can't remember. I think we had just recently done a video for him, or I don't know. He and I have worked together many times, and I can't remember the order of which it happened. It was towards the beginning of our collaborative efforts.
I thought that one was fantastic. What was it like? Like, how did you guys come up with that, and like the process and everything behind? Because, like I said, that to me, one of my favorites.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That is, I think, my favorite project as well that I have done. So I'm happy that it's resonating with people and that they enjoy it as well, because I've gotten really, really great feedback from that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had that idea. I was just sitting one day. I don't know if I was actively brainstorming or I just like lightning struck me, and I was just like, just thought of this idea about this person walking down the sidewalk. And I think it probably happened to me because I was probably walking down the sidewalk and like
Mm.
you see a stranger at night and you feel a little tense, you feel a little anxious. And then as I was thinking that, I was like, I'm sure everyone else feels this way, which means
Yep.
I should do a video on this because other people are going to get this immediately. Um, and then just tried to see like how fun and creative like we could be with the idea, and while being a little ridiculous like with the inner monologue and like how
Right.
like how out of control your brain can take things in a heartbeat. But so the idea was there, and then I met up with Rustic with the general idea of like how I wanted the video to flow, the different sections of it, and then we came up with choreography together,
Uh-huh.
and then we may have modified it a little bit when we were actually filming it with Kyle, because Kyle's got a great perspective and knowledge when it comes to fight choreography and performing fight scenes on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then the inner monologues was like I had the general structure of the inner monologues ahead of time, so I kind of knew that the shots that we needed to get of me like thinking, which was the weirdest part, is to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna film you thinking. Just think." But you got to think, but you also need to hit certain moments along the way so people can tell what you're thinking. So
Right.
when we actually add the voiceover later, it matches with your facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
So I had pre-recorded just like me talking about the thoughts that I would be thinking, and I would play those out loud
Mm-hmm.
down by my side on my phone as they were filming my facial expressions for some of those shots, just so I
Mm.
knew what I was supposed to be thinking
Okay.
at that time. And then that video took so long to edit, man.
Oh wow.
I did not think it was going to take. I thought I could knock it out in a week or
Mm-hmm.
so. I edited that thing like for a month
Wow.
straight, and like the amount of sound effects
Mm-hmm.
and doing the voiceover for it and trying to match up the voiceover perfectly and going through a few different versions of the script for the inner voiceover that I had going the whole time. Because at that point it was like, well, I can think and say anything that I want. So how do you decide what to say?
Right.
But luckily I got great roommates and I was able to bounce ideas off of them, and then they gave me some ideas, and all in all it was just a great collaborative effort, and I'm again so happy with how it turned out, and definitely would like to do a sequel sometime. Haven't quite decided on what the sequel would be, but I think it'd be fun.
Okay. I was gonna say I know during our last conversation that I had with Rustic, he did mention a sequel, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, well, I cannot wait for that. So that's definitely in the pipeline. We probably can't say when, with everything going on and everything, but it will
For sure.
happen.
Absolutely
Nice.
right.
What I was gonna ask you, how long did all that take to shoot? I believe Rustic said it took a night. It only took one, two, took two
Two
nights.
nights. Two nights.
That's not
But I think
bad.
it was about 4 hours each. Yeah, no, it was great. We made great time and we had a good time the whole time. Um, yeah, it was a great experience because when you're working with a small team like that,
Yep.
you can move quick. It was just three of us. So Kyle was operating the camera, and he had a few lights that he brought with him to help
Okay.
with lighting the scene, just because it was a little dark before he brought his lights. And luckily, again, we had all the choreography planned out ahead of time, so we knew what we were doing. And we almost got kicked out
No.
by police, but we didn't, so
Oh
that was
wow.
good.
Good. Close call there, but hey, it turned out for the best. In terms of, I got a good question for you here. Writing a script, how do you go about doing that? Do you have a particular process? Do you have like a whiteboard you like to use? Because I know with Jackie Chan, he has an idea, he tapes it up, and his wall's covered with stuff. What's your process? How do you go about like developing an idea, from a little tiny seed that you plant in the garden to this beautiful big plant?
I think my process has not been like solidified yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I think usually the way it works is just like a general concept hits me. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what if I do a video of a guy walking towards a stranger at night,
Hmm.
and that then this guy, everything that he imagines, we see happen in real life. That's the general idea. And then my brain starts just like hitting me with like specific shots or moments or or like a random line, and
Mm-hmm.
any like shot or a specific moment or a random line of dialogue that hits me, I notate that. I write that down immediately so that I don't forget it. And I start to build these pieces of the
Mm-hmm.
video, and then I find ways to connect these pieces and then to
Mm.
tell an overarching story from it. And then usually the intro and the conclusion are obviously just
Right.
the bits to get you into all the moments and the climax that you imagine. um, and yeah, same thing with like the Power Rangers video that I did. It's just
Yes.
I just imagine like just moments, and then I start to focus in on that moment and build a little bit more detailed moments in that, until eventually you have a whole story. But my process still has much refining
Mm-hmm.
that is needed. I still see so much more like area for improvement in my process, but it's definitely worked for me so far, and I like it.
Good. Well, I'm actually glad you brought up. That was going to be one of the things I wanted to ask you about. That Power Rangers film. That was awesome. Another great project. I talk about that. When did you finish that? Was this a couple years ago? Or was it last year? When or was this year? Because I know I remember watching it. But when did you finish that? When was that?
This was the one where there were many people in it, right?
Yes, I remember watching that.
And
Yes, that one.
the orb that comes
Oh my
down.
goodness.
Okay, great. Just because I've done many Power Ranger
Okay.
videos, that one was like, man, that one was my baby for for like a full year. I did not
Wow.
intend for that video to take so long,
Hmm.
but it took a very long time to film just because it's the biggest project that I've done.
Hmm.
Um, we had many people. I wanted there to be a lot of people, but because there's a lot of people, everyone's schedules have to line up at
Yes.
the same time, and everyone working in Hollywood has these crazy sporadic schedules that you
Hmm.
cannot predict ahead of time. And I'm not paying these people like hundreds of dollars, so like
Yeah.
I'm like prioritize you. If you're free, if you have nothing going on, let me know. We'll make it work.
All right.
So we were only filming like once or twice a month,
Mm.
rather than like a normal shoot where you would film like day after day after day, and then you would finish it within 1 to 2 weeks
Hmm.
for like a YouTube short, and then you would go and edit. But we filmed it over the course of a full year.
Wow.
Like we did the majority of it was within the first 4 months, and then like at 7 months I went and I like filmed a half day and like got a few pickup shots, and then like at the 10-month mark, after editing everything else together, I'm like, oh, we need a few more pieces. So then we go back to the park with only the specific people that I needed to get a few pickup shots. And then a full year later, I'm like, oh, I don't like how I delivered this line on the first day of
Yeah.
shooting. Let's go back. I'll cut my hair. We'll film it in the exact same spot. A full year later to make
Hmm.
it like all string together. But yeah, so that took a very, very long time, and dealing with visual effects was tough because I didn't really have a super great computer at that time. So I just doing a lot of the visual effects took me a lot longer than they would have if I had had a better computer. And then I was also outsourcing some of the more complicated visual effects, like the orb, to a friend of mine. But again, like I was like, hey man, like your life comes first. Whenever you get the time, I would love for you to help me out with this. And so he did the things that he needed to do to take care of in his life, and then was able to get to them eventually. But yeah, so all in all, I mean, it took a full year from like the beginning of filming to the
Mm.
release of the video. But again, I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I'm so thankful for my friends that came out and decided to help, dedicate their time to me and this project. And I tried to highlight them
Hmm.
as best as I could without like I also didn't ask people to like go too crazy for me, just because like I know that I'm not paying you too much. So don't hurt yourself, don't kill yourself for my project, but I'm still going to try to make a cool video and show your guys' faces as much as I can.
What's your go-to? Do you have a good software that you like to use, or you use for that, or are you using currently? Is there something you recommend? Is it
Well, so
Adobe or
yeah, right now I edit all in the Adobe Suite in Premiere, and then
nice?
the visual effects that I do are in After Effects. I don't do anything too complicated.
Hmm.
Um, I may eventually one day get like Cinema 4D,
Mm.
but that's a long way. That's a long way away. So yeah, right now I just do Premiere and After Effects.
Okay, nice. And this cinema, what is that, like the Elite? I've never heard of it before. What is that,
Yeah,
like the?
Cinema 4D is a professional visual effects editing software. It is very expensive and it is very comprehensive.
Wow.
And it is, yeah, a lot of like actual visual effects like companies use that software
Hmm.
in addition to many many others, but that is definitely one of the main visual effects softwares out there.
Another project that I know you were involved in, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I do apologize. It was on a beach. Do you know that fight? You did a fight
Oh
scene
yeah,
on a. What
what do we
was?
call it? The beach game,
I
I
can't
think.
remember, but that was fun. I remember seeing, oh, Omar's in this. I'll check it out. You know, if you're usually in something, I'm like, oh, this should be pretty good.
That's the one where, yeah, we wake up in the sand.
Yes, yes, that was different. I haven't seen too many fight scenes on a beach, so that sounds pretty comfy. I mean, if you're gonna
Eh,
fight anywhere, hey, you know, the beach is
dude,
the best place. Where exactly did you film that? Was that in I'm assuming somewhere in California?
it was, what beach was that on? It was south of LA. I think it
Okay,
might have been Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach, Long Beach, one of those beaches.
yeah,
I don't even remember. It's by the Korean Bell of Friendship, wherever that is. I know that's a really
huh,
popular film location in Los Angeles. Um, yeah, that was a kind of a last minute thing.
mm,
A friend of mine who was also like the director on that shoot, Silas, lives out of town and was in town and
mm-hmm,
was like, "Hey man, like we're gonna film a project tomorrow.
yeah,
Do you want to come?" And we started filming that project super late. We only did it in a single day. We started filming at noon
oh wow,
on the beach, and we thought the tide was gonna start where it was and then get further and further away from us, and we would have more and more beach to work with.
mm-hmm,
But we're all idiots and got it wrong, and the tide was actually coming up and pushing us into the rocks that were on the edge of the sand,
oh my
like
goodness,
big fat boulders. And so that was the most hectic, fastest shoot of my life, where we were
mm,
fighting the tide, we were fighting the sunlight, we were fighting the sand. Like we were all getting sand in our eyes and literally could not see, and it was unbearably painful. And then like I get drowned in the water at the
right,
end, and the water was just as frigid as could be. And so it ended up being just like the craziest day.
huh,
But you know, hey, we made something of it. Obviously, it you just sometimes that's nice when you don't have time to think and work out every detail. It just forces you into action and it forces you to make decisions. And like all in all, I'm pretty happy with what we were able to do in like 4 to 5 hours. It was honestly like baffling. I did
wow.
not think we were going to be able to like create a comprehensive idea in that short amount of time.
Okay, okay. As far as Danime, I did want to ask you about that. That was another a good short that I believe you wrote and you
No,
starred
I
in.
did not.
You didn't
I did
write
not
that.
write that.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, I don't want to
No,
get
no,
my.
no, no. You're fine. No, absolutely.
You
But yeah,
starred in it.
Rustic was in that as well.
Rustig was in there. Yeah, he was sitting in the chair. But that was fun. I was really hyped, you know, because I saw the teasers that you shared for that and whatnot. So tell us about that project, you know, for those that aren't, you know, or haven't seen it. A little bit
So
about. Yeah.
that was a really cool project because the director of that, Mark Chang, and I had met maybe a year or 2 years prior, I think a year,
Hmm.
on a short film that we filmed in New York where I was doing stunts for him, where my girlfriend was the lead. And so I met him there
Hmm.
very briefly. We only filmed 2 days together, and then that was it. And then he was actually moving to LA right after that shoot in New York, and we were like, no way, we're also moving to Los Angeles in 2 days. So we realized that we were both moving to LA and decided that, you know, once we were all settled, we would get together and film something.
Hmm.
And time went by because LA is crazy. And then one day, Mark just messaged me out of the blue. He was like, "Hey, man, I'm talking with a writer right now. We're writing this short film that I would love to have you play the lead as," which was the first time that had ever happened to me where a director approached me personally, was like, "Hey, man, we're writing a script. I want you to be the guy." Um, and so I was just incredibly honored to have them think of me and give me that opportunity. Um, and that was also filmed in one day. And that was an insane day. Again, I mean, filming is always crazy. I think I think it could have been a 2 day shoot. I think it should have been a 2 day shoot, but
Yeah.
obviously, like, that costs twice as much money to do it, and I wasn't the one putting up the money, so I can't complain at all. But yeah, I do feel that we had to rush it a bit,
Hmm.
but it was a great crew that we were working with the stunt team. They were all friends of mine that I knew. We did, great rehearsals, working out some of these fight scenes ahead of time, and then these guys just went in and just like knocked out these visual effects and made it super super crazy. We had so much fun on the shoot. Um, like just being able to have a good time because my roommate was my co-lead,
Oh, nice.
Jack, who is all suave and is like showtime, and then he runs in and starts shooting everyone.
Uh-huh.
But that was another great experience because that was like my first time, I think, like truly like experiencing what a day on set would be like as an action actor,
Mm.
where you are doing fight scenes, you are delivering dialogue, you are, changing outfits, you're doing one scene here that takes place at the beginning of the video, and then immediately you're going to the middle of the video and you're doing a different scene in different context, um, and having to rush and make decisions quickly and take notes from the director and try to apply those notes to your performance. Um, yeah, it was like such an incredible day, and again, just to have Mark give me that opportunity and take a chance on me, and I learned so much. Like I still have so much to learn when it comes to, I mean, just performing in general, but definitely
Right.
acting. I'm definitely a better action performer than I am an actor right now, so I'm continuing to work to bring my acting ability up so that hopefully that these two can live on the same
Be
level, and
side
I
by
can,
side.
like, yeah, yeah. Then I'll be Keanu Reeves. I'll take his job and I'll do John Wick 17 when
I
he's
was
all,
gonna
or
say,
Matrix
man, I can't wait
6.
for John Wick 4. Hopefully, whenever it's gonna be released. Who knows when we'll get to go to another movie? But in the
I
theaters, I'm
know.
bummed they delayed the new Bond film. So I'm just like, this film's never
Yeah,
gonna come out.
yeah.
Oh, I could
But
go on
no,
about that. Oh,
yeah. Again, that was just another great shoot. Working with people that I trust and
yeah.
that I enjoy spending time with, and people that we all get along well together and can create fun
Hmm.
things.
And actually, since we kind of brought up in a way, with how filming's going, what is it like in a COVID world? How is filming with the mask? Like, what are the precautions take? I'm kind of curious since you're kind of on the inside when it comes to that, and from me being from I'm in Ohio and you're well currently in Atlanta, but you're from California. So what's it like? How's everything going? Like, how are you guys doing all that?
It's pretty intense now. If you're working on a union set, you need to get tested before you get on set. And if you're doing multiple days of shooting, like, they test you every single day or like every 2 days to continue to make sure that you're safe and not
Mm,
infectious in any way. Um, Whenever the camera is not rolling, you put your mask on, you keep
good.
your distance from people. They serve food differently than they used to. Like, they used to just be buffet tables that you just walk
Mm,
up and grab food at, but now they have people that are actually serving you and you need to tell them what you want.
okay.
Even if you want an apple, like, someone has to go get you the apple. You cannot touch anything yourself until it is yours officially. And all of these are necessary precautions. Like, I don't resent them
Right.
in any way, but set is already an incredibly, like, complicated and complex work environment that now with this added, like incredibly complex safety measure of COVID prevention. There are hand sanitizer, like, bottles absolutely everywhere. They have COVID compliance officers on set to make sure people are keeping their distance, to
Mm.
make sure people have their masks on. um, yeah, so at the end of the day, it's just another layer in this incredibly complex machine that is filmmaking.
Wow, that's unreal. I was wondering like how you go. I can't even imagine. Like I've done a couple short, small projects. I'm actually working on one this weekend, and we're trying to keep everything distant and whatnot. But I really since March I haven't been able to do anything just because it's like everything
Yeah.
got shut down. I was really looking forward to this year, and it just kind of went, well, 2020. We're just gonna throw that one in my trash can over there.
Right.
Unfortunately,
Right.
it's just like, man, it feels like a lost year in a way.
Yeah.
Hate to be a downer, but
Yeah. No, I mean that's
uh,
real. Like it's not everything is like sunshine and rainbows, and like this year has been very difficult for probably the entire world.
yeah.
So you are not the only person that feels that way.
In terms of using this whole unfortunate situation to a benefit, have you like toned in on doing more writing and working on your training? Obviously, like how have you used this to your benefit? All this quarantine time and whatnot, since you know probably not making as many films as you normally would. What are you
Certainly
doing in
not.
place of that?
Certainly not. I'm not perfect. I know that there's more that I could have done and still can be doing. I'm hoping to make changes to my schedule. But the good things that have been happening is I have been doing a lot of more parkour because of working in Hollywood. I've kind of been neglecting that and just maintaining my parkour while working on my other skills to build those up. Um, but since quarantine began, like I've started doing parkour a lot more because that's like my biggest passion and my biggest love is parkour, and I really enjoy doing that more than anything else. So getting to do a lot more parkour has been great. Been doing a lot of weightlifting because
Mm-hmm.
we as a household purchased some weightlifting equipment in our backyard and have been doing a lot of that. Did a few things here and there with my roommates that like these projects turned out great. I know I could have done more, but editing Power Rangers was one of the main things I did during quarantine. That was just like a full month of being able to focus and do that. Um, got to touch up like all my materials, my resume, all my websites. Gotta touch all that stuff up again. Um, and I've been really lucky that a lot of projects that I have been a part of have come out during quarantine. Like
Nice.
Danime was released
Yeah.
during quarantine, even though that was filmed a full year before. Again, the
Mm.
Power Rangers video was filmed a full year before, and some other projects that I had been doing had released during quarantine. So it felt it was nice that I had things to show
Mm-hmm.
and to put out there into the universe during this time. And a lot of people came to me and were like, "Hey, like I'm so happy to see you still creating content, even if it's not content that you've created now. Like it's nice to see this stuff when there's not a lot of other material being released from like our friend group and our little network."
Mm. There was a project. I'm trying to just. My brain's kind of like racking around to this. It was like, were you in like a parking garage? There was some sword work involved. I don't know if that rings a
Oh,
bell.
that was an old one. That
That
one was a
one.
few years ago.
Yeah, I like
Yeah, I
that
was
one a
fighting
lot.
a guy. He had a gun, and I was like chopping the bullets out of the air.
What was the? Do you have the name of that off the top of your?
Underground.
That was good. So you said that was
Thank
what, like
you.
3, 4 years, roughly 3 years,
I think that was 2 years ago,
2
maybe two
years.
and a half years
All
ago.
right, 2018.
Um, another day shoot, man. We
Wow.
filmed that. That was. I feel like I'm saying this about all the shoots, but
Yeah.
like that was another crazy shoot. Uh, we were in that parking garage for like 12 to 14 hours.
Whoa.
Like we showed up like as the sun was rising and we left when the sun had already set. And we were in a part of the parking garage like 5 levels underground. There were
Oh.
no windows. So
Mm.
we had no perception for time. None of us had any service on our cell phones, so like we could barely contact the world. Or like I think I was able to get like a few posts up on Instagram if I like held my phone like in a specific spot for like 2 minutes straight. I was able to complete the upload process. But that was just 3 people like in a basement for 13 hours just making this video. And Joseph Lay, who was the cameraman on that
Mm.
and also like helped with choreography, is one of the most talented people I've ever worked with in my life. And he has just continued to do bigger and better things since then. And Will Conies was the guy that I was performing with,
Uh huh.
who's one of like the top martial arts trickers out there. And so getting to work with these guys like on our own project was so much fun. And then I took the burden of editing that. And
Mm.
I think like none of us were really super crazy about like how we felt with the video
Yeah.
after we'd filmed it. And
Mm-hmm.
then they gave me the footage, and then I edited it, and it took about a month or so. And then I sent it to them, and both of them were like so pleasantly surprised
Wow.
with how the video turned out. And so that made me feel happy, as an editor, that I was able to create something with, what we all felt like was scrap,
Yeah.
and take that together and make a fun video out of it. And again, like we always see room for improvement, but that at the end of the day, like you get better by doing, and we continue to do, so we continue to improve.
How did you go about, I don't know if you were involved in securing the parking garage. How did you guys go about, was that something you helped out with, or were you just like, you
That
show up?
was that was Joseph Lay. He had
Hmm.
found that before. I don't know how he had found that, but he had filmed
Yeah.
in that parking garage before. Like he filmed like an 8-on-8 fight scene
Whoa.
in that garage. Like he's like, this place has no cameras. This place has no people. Like we need to film in this place. And they were like using fake blood and like just had these incredible just like fights happening in this garage. And he was like, honestly, like if you want to film this like intense like underground fight scene, we should go back to this parking garage. The only problem with it was the ceiling was really, really low, and so we kept hitting the swords on the ceilings. And also the swords were more meant for like performances in the air.
Yeah.
They were not contact swords, so we
Uh-huh.
had to fake almost every single hit.
Huh.
And that's tough in its own way to make it look like you're attacking someone with all your might,
Yeah.
but you're really just like missing like 1 inch at a time, because you don't want to damage these beautiful weapons that were not our own. They were not our swords. Like I can't remember who, but someone let us borrow those weapons, so we tried to be like as careful as we could with them.
Oh, what, you had real, like, they weren't even the prop, like, gimmicked up, or were these, like...
No, they weren't
Well-
they weren't real swords,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah, well...
like you couldn't chop someone's head off with them,
uh-huh.
but they were,
Well, yeah.
but
Nicer,
they
good
were-
quality.
yeah.
I know what
Yeah.
you mean. Okay, I was a little bit confused. I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, this is getting crazy here. But that's awesome. That's awesome. Another question that I wanted to ask you: have you ever done any like super duper high falls? Have you ever fallen from a really high height? Any stunt work like that in terms of, like just fall off this balcony or whatever? We need you to fall off a ledge or do something crazy like that.
I haven't done big high falls. The
Okay.
biggest one I've done is like 12 feet, maybe 13, maybe 15 feet at most. But that, like in high falls, is nothing. I mean, people do like 100-foot high falls, more than that, I think, in the past. I don't know if they do bigger high falls anymore, but
Wow.
15 feet in high falls is nothing. But for me, like at that time, that was still like the biggest thing I'd ever done. And high falls are very strange for me because I've done parkour for so long that I'm used to jumping off of high things and
Yeah.
landing on my feet. And that's obviously you don't do that for high falls. You land on your back.
Yeah.
And so having to like untrain my parkour like instincts to land on my feet was very weird. Because I'm looking down at a mat in like 15 feet and I'm like, I could take that drop. I'm like, I kind of want to jump, land on my feet, and then roll. But
Yeah.
because it's a squishy mat, like your ankles will probably snap,
You-
when you land on your feet. So land on your back at the end of the day.
Huh. 12 feet. That's crazy. I'm not that much of a heights guy. I don't know what it is. I just like I had to do the zip line thing. Have you ever been to Vegas? You ever been out to Las Vegas before?
No, but I have done zip lines.
For whatever reason, they tried to hook me in. My legs started shaking. I'm like, oh god, I can't. I hate height. And flying through the zip line was great until they jolt you at the end, and I'm just sitting there above the street. I'm like, get me the F out of this thing. I was F-bombing left and right. I'm like, get me out of here now. My legs went numb. I don't know. Do you have any fear? No fear of heights? I mean, I'm assuming you don't. Never.
Dude, no,
No.
absolutely,
No.
absolutely fear of heights.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, just like parkour is created on these building blocks, like fear of heights is the same thing. Like you push yourself slowly, very, very slowly, and you always stay within your realm of capability. And my friends and I used to just walk on walls that were 4 feet off the ground, like super short. Like if you fall, nothing happens. Then we'd find a wall that was 6 feet. And we would just walk across it.
Okay.
Then 8 feet. Then 10 feet. And then a roof 4 stories in the air. Like you work your way up, and you're like, okay, I know that I can do this motion. I have done it at every level before this, so this is no different. And you always respect the environment, you respect the fall, but you also put yourself in an environment that if you fail, you don't fall.
Yeah.
So like if I ever do, because I've walked across a railing above a highway.
Ooh.
Yeah, probably not the smartest thing I've done. Yeah, like honestly, if I'd fallen
Yeah.
down to the highway, I'd be
I wouldn't be
done.
talking to you right now.
But the highway was on my right
Mhm.
and the bridge was on my left, and the bridge was only 4 feet. And so I always kept like 51% of my weight towards the bridge. So if I ever fall, I fall towards the bridge. I do not fall to the highway. And it also took me about a full hour before I was able to walk completely across the railing to the highway. I would take one step and then I would freak out and then jump down back on the bridge.
Wow.
Then I'd go back to the beginning and then I would take like 4 or 5 steps and then freak out and jump back down to the bridge. And then again, you just continue to work this mental thing, just how you work your body. You can work your brain in the same way to overcome a challenge. You never do something crazy. You never take any leaps, mental leaps or physical leaps. It's all progressive building. And so like I am still afraid of heights, but fear of heights does not hinder me.
Okay.
At least usually. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, what's the highest building you ever scaled? Because I've seen some of these guys, like they're on top of like a skyscraper or anything. Like, what? How many flights up were you? Like, do you know off the top of your the highest?
The highest I've scaled, it was about a 4-story parking garage.
Okay, that's still pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like anything above like 2.5, 3 stories, like if you fall, like you're dead.
Yep,
So
yep.
4 stories is the same as 50 stories.
Yeah.
But it was just a parking garage that had these big metal slats built into the side, and it was a ladder, man. Like it was just a ladder. You just go left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, and it was the same thing all the way up. Well, first you grab and you check to make sure it's stable and secure, and then when you know it is, then you put your weight on it and you pull and you reach and you test the next one, and you just move super, super slow. And like I will admit, when I started getting up to the 3-story mark, my body like was not obeying my brain. I was like, okay, and reach, and my arm would like slowly move. But you just, when climbing things like that, at least for me, you always make sure that you got 3 solid points of contact, and you understand that if you're ever freaked out, then you just do the exact same thing in reverse order, and you go down one at a time. And like as long as you can rein your brain in to focus on the motions, and to not get carried away with like brain thoughts, as opposed to other thoughts.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but again, like that wasn't the first thing that I had climbed. I'd done a lot of climbing before, and when I saw that, like, it was the easy. Like anyone could do it. It was never like anything crazy, but it's just like, do you have the mental capacity to keep your body in check as you're doing something like that?
In terms of this cliche popped up in my head, I'm a huge fan of Jurassic Park. I don't know if you remember in the one scene where Timmy and Grant are stuck in the tree. He says, first rule of climbing, you never, ever look down. Is that true? I mean, if looking down, will that throw you up? Does that bother? Like, is that really true? No, it's just...
Doesn't bother me.
Okay,
no.
I won't be like, whoa! Some people it just throws them off, It just...
I mean, like, don't look down if you know that that's... if you're not okay with seeing that image.
Yeah.
But I think that in order to do what I've done is like you have to see that image and be okay with it.
Okay.
So because like if you're hanging on a wall and you have 100% capability, like you are super strong, you feel good about the position, like looking down doesn't change anything about how comfortable and how strong you feel in that position. So you need to accept that, you need to understand that in order to be able to like tackle it head on. You can't be like avoiding the consequences. You have to understand and accept the consequences in order to be able to do the thing risk-free and without like 10% of your brain worrying about this thing down there rather than using that 10% to focus on what you're doing.
Nice. Have you ever done any in terms of wire work, in terms of stunt work, anything like that yet, where you've been flung around?
Hardly anything. I did a few wire gags on the stunt show that I used to be on, but even that's like not true wires. It's more of just like you just get pulled back. But it's not any like complicated flips or flying through the air or anything. So no, my wire work skills is I have very little experience in wire work.
Okay.
But
Okay.
hoping to do more of it.
I was gonna say, any interest in like kind of
Oh,
stepping out on the
absolutely.
ledge, and because it to me it seems like so much fun. It just can add so much to a fight scene. Just like
Yeah,
wow, look at them go left and right. It's like how do they do that?
yeah,
It really makes
absolutely.
you appreciate it, which I feel like stunt men and women don't get enough appreciation, or an Oscar or anything would be nice. Some type of recognition. I feel that's a gripe that I've noted. Just like really, come on, you know.
Hopefully in the Oscars one day. Right there is something called the Taurus Awards,
Oh
which is
really?
essentially just like a stunt community, stunt created
Okay.
award. Um, yeah, that I don't exactly know how far it goes, but I know that they have like awards that they give for like best stunt team or biggest like stunt of the year, like the craziest stunt of the year.
Huh.
So the Taurus Awards is essentially like the
Nice.
stunts Oscars for themselves.
Okay, very nice. Now I did want to talk about Ultimate Tag. That was on Fox, and you were on that show. How did you go about applying? Did you have to apply, or how did you get selected? And hey, there you go. He's got the glasses. Very
These
nice.
are different ones,
Oh,
but
okay.
still. The casting people for Fox found me through my YouTube channel, I believe.
Okay.
Just because I've got a 250,000 followers up there now, and
Nice.
they told me that they were looking for parkour athletes, but they were also looking for people with, like personality that could maybe own a character on national television. And they asked me if I was interested first, and obviously I said yes.
Yep.
And then we just had like a Skype call, kind of talking about like my personality and the different types of characters that they think I could play, or kind of what they saw me as. And then, you know, I think they even asked me at one point if I had any glasses nearby, and I did. So I threw those glasses on, and then they had me like, you know, role play as like a nerdy, geeky character that was like trying to like stick it to the jock and like let him know that like, jocks are cool, but like nerds can be athletes too, and
Hmm.
and just kind of play that character a little bit. And I did, and they liked what they saw, and obviously ended up moving forward with me. We did a lot of before it was official, we did a lot of course testing while they were finalizing all the different designs for the different courses. And we would actually do, pseudo games
Hmm.
on those courses, um, just to see our physical skills and how we would actually be able to move on the courses. So that was really, really fun to be able to essentially play tag against a lot of my friends. Um, on those various courses, and then obviously they ended up offering me a contract,
Nice.
and I said yes, and got to play the geek for 2 weeks. And it was pretty much a 2 week shooting schedule for that whole show, with maybe a day off in those 2 weeks. And it was an insane 2 weeks, but I was super happy to be on the show with my girlfriend,
Yep.
so we were able to like both be there during those 2 weeks, and getting to work together, and not be separated from each other during that time, which was great.
Mhm.
And just work with like some absolute idols of mine that I had grown up watching in the parkour world, people like Jesse LaFleur and Sidney Olsen and Josh Yaden. Like, these are some OG athletes that I had been watching for a long time, and to finally get on that same level as them and to be fellow
Mm.
pro taggers with them was just the coolest thing.
And can you describe like I need to watch it like for somebody that hasn't watched the show yet. It's on Fox. I believe you can watch it on demand. I might get to it this weekend if I can. It's a tag like what's the goal again like for
So it's a reality game show
yeah.
where you have competitors that come on the show to compete against each other
Hmm.
for a cash prize at the end of each episode, and they are competing against the courses,
Okay.
each other, and then also us, who were the pro taggers. We were essentially the
Hmm.
home team, and so they would compete against us, and then depending on how well they did against us, the courses, and each other, depending on or resulted in whether or not they won the episode and got to take home the cash prize at the end of the episode. So they pretty much just wear flags on
Okay.
their chest, and there are 5 different courses, and each course is a slightly different spin on the game of tag.
Hmm.
And us as the taggers are trying to pull their flags, and them as the competitors are trying to avoid us for as long as they can on all these different courses, and get the highest time or score as many points as they can on their own in these different courses. And yeah, then there's a male winner at the end of each episode and a female winner, and they both win $10,000 at the end of each episode. And they brought in some like really really incredible like competitors to
Hmm.
compete against us, and we also had some like incredible taggers that were on our team. You know, people that specialized in parkour, people that specialized in like weightlifting. There's like such a great variety of just athletes on that show.
Is there going to be a second season, or do you know how it did in terms of ratings? Are they
I
gonna?
think I don't know for certain, but I think they said that we're going to find out in November
Hmm.
whether it's a yes or a no. And
Okay.
I think we've heard good things, and obviously we're all hoping
Yeah.
for a yes, and we're hoping for a season two. They're just trying to work out the logistics of whether or not they can actually do a season two in this new coronavirus world.
Right.
Just because when we were
Well,
filming, we had a live audience of 600 people,
well, that's probably
and
well. Yeah,
that's
gone.
a big no-no right now.
Unless you do, I don't know if you've seen like with WWE how they have the virtual fans. I mean, you could do that. Although, and they pipe
They
in the
might,
fake.
yeah, they might do that and save money on background extras, I guess. Unfortunately for the background people.
Would that affect? Because I wonder how it affects the wrestlers. Would that affect you on that show? Like, did the crowd help you? Because I know with certain sport, like, oh, I feed off
I
the
mean,
crowd.
yeah, like
It's
absolutely.
gonna.
At the end of the day, it's performing, and
Yeah.
when you got a live audience of 600 people there in front of you, of course that's going to affect you and change your performance. I don't
Yep.
know if that would actually change my physical performance of like actually playing tag,
Right.
but it would definitely affect like my personality and like my energy level and like those are filming. It's long days. Like we had one day that was like 16 17 hours, and having
Wow.
that crowd there behind you, around you, surrounding you, like that can help you get through a 17-hour day of filming. But now if you get rid of those 600 people and now you're in a big warehouse that's silent,
Yeah.
that's obviously going to have a very different feel to it.
It's a crazy world we're living. It's just with the screen. Like I don't know if you've seen like the NBA. I know has been doing it. The NHL they've been successfully able to pipe in the. It's not the same, but I've still been able to kind of get used
Get
to it
into
in a
it.
way. But I still
Right.
miss. There's nothing like being at one of those events or like at the show you were at. The Ultimate Tag and just cheering some. I mean, it's just like you said. You feed off of it. I mean, it's just there's I can't even describe it. The feeling when everybody's in
Yeah.
unison and just like they're just all collective. I mean, it's a great feeling to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully we can get back to that sooner rather than later. In terms of uh, projects that can you talk about what you got in the pipeline? Anything that you're willing to share? Or?
Honestly, nothing crazy. I don't
Yeah,
have anything crazy going on
cool lined up.
because
Yeah, with
because
COVID.
like luckily I've been working again, which has been
Good.
really really great. I'm here in Atlanta, obviously preparing for this parkour competition in a
Nice.
few days, so that has been on my mind for a while. I've been training, pretty hard with my teammates to get ready for this competition. Got a few ideas for some YouTube like short films
Okay.
coming up, but they're not really well developed enough yet that I'm like too willing to get the ideas out there. But yeah, at the end of the day, just happy to be working again and training and just be surrounded by like-minded people that we can make fun projects with.
Okay. And actually, speaking of some of the shorts that I know you shot one with your roommate in your backyard, or it was just you two, like, how did you guys shoot that? Was that off an iPhone? It was like you two just like, it was like a minute 20 fight scene, or maybe it wasn't even, it was like maybe 40.
Is that where I had my hair up and I was in like
Yes,
the
you
leather
had it like in a
jacket?
bun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just we just filmed that in a few hours. We were just kind of bored and wanted to do something and just keep our skills honed. And my girlfriend was operating the camera because she's trying to get a little bit more, more hours behind the
Yeah.
camera, and I'm trying to work on my fight performing, and so is my roommate Brett.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that was just a little short little fight scene that we did.
Nice. I feel like that in this environment, like this is a perfect time to like do smaller projects. When you can't really do a feature, or a big budget, just due to the restrictions and everything. I feel like that is one thing that can kind of come out of this, negative and turn it into a positive.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean.
absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. So I'm definitely looking at like when this parkour competition's over, I definitely want to try to hit the ground running on creating some more smaller projects.
In terms of Hollywood, is there anybody in particular you'd really like to one day work with if given the opportunity? Like, say, if man, I really like to work with this guy or that girl or this.
I mean, any of
Yeah.
the people on Lord of the Rings, just because again,
Okay.
like that's my favorite franchise. Like I
Yeah.
would love to work with Peter Jackson or any of those actors at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ewan McGregor, he's my
Ooh.
favorite actor,
Mm.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. So working with him would be incredible. Jackie Chan, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the action legends, Donnie Yen. I mean, like, and now that he's part of the Star Wars universe, is just incredible.
Yeah. I always forget Don. Yeah, he's in. Wow, that's
Rogue
crazy.
One, yeah, he was in Rogue
I
One.
gotta watch that still. That's why I haven't watched Rogue One.
Dude,
Spoiler.
that's a great movie.
I heard it's one of the best.
It's one of the best. It absolutely is.
Okay.
It's because they didn't need to make a trilogy. They could just make one movie to fill the space between one trilogy and another trilogy.
What a concept.
They just created like the perfect bridge between these two trilogies.
Actually, I take that back. I did see. Go figure. I saw the ending. I've seen once it where Darth Vader's just that scene.
Yeah,
Is
yeah, man.
incredible. People are like, "Oh my god!" And it's
Dude, where the
music.
lightsaber just comes out of the
I'm
darkness.
like, holy like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
intent. The choreography on that was I was just watching how they put that together. It just makes you go, whoa,
Yeah.
phenomenal,
That was a great scene.
phenomenal.
Trying to think if there's anyone like I'm like there's so many people that I would want
Right.
to work with that like I wouldn't even be able to name all of them, but yeah, I feel like I definitely named people that I can really get behind. Um, who makes me laugh? Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is
Ooh.
one of the funniest people, one of the funniest actors. Um, Adam Sandler's. I don't actually know.
Sandler. I think it's just
Yeah,
Sandler. That's
just
okay,
one,
close
just
enough.
one Sandler.
Okay, okay. Those are some in terms of because I know you got pretty good comedic timing too in terms of your project. Any guys like a Jim Carrey? Do you take inspiration from, or is there like maybe a
Oh,
Robin Williams?
completely.
Who
Oh
was
my God, Robin Williams,
we
man,
miss you 6 years? Can't believe it's been 6 years.
the legend.
World
Like,
hasn't been the same since we lost him. That one
yeah,
hurt.
he, yeah, man,
Man,
the legend, a true legend. Yeah, loved him, and yeah, I watched tons, just watch and listen to like tons and tons of comedians, Trevor Noah, Russell Peters, Eliza Schlesinger.
comedians. What about like I was thinking Eddie Murphy? Oh my goodness, he is.
I mean, I haven't actually like watched any of his stand up, but
Oh
obviously
my
like him
goodness.
in all the movies he's done is just the
You
funniest guy.
gotta his stand. I was watching some at the one day. I couldn't stop laughing. Just like oh my god, literally like the man is not he's not dead, so he is
Right,
incredible.
right.
But nice because I did notice that in the project. You just have really good like in What If like your facial like you really you have the timing down. You know what I mean?
Thank you,
You
thank
knew
you. A
how
lot
to
of that is
emote that, and that connected to me as the viewer. It's like, huh, I like that. That's funny.
thank you, and a lot of that
Subtleties.
definitely comes down to like the editing timing of it, and
Yeah.
that's why it's nice to be able to edit my own projects because I can definitely get a feel for the timing and the pacing of everything when I'm the one controlling it.
Hmm.
And that's why it's nice to kind of create your own projects because you can almost already be thinking in your head about how you're going to edit this together later,
Yeah.
and that can influence your performance in the moment. Where if you don't know what's going to be done later, like you can do your best to work in the moment, but like if you don't have someone explain it to you with very clear and concise words
Yeah.
how exactly this is going to play together once it's all edited, then it can be tough to kind of just like be in the present moment without any ability to see the future. But also, trying to think about the future too much can
Yeah.
take you out of the moment. So yeah, there's pros and cons to each.
Interesting. Very interesting. In terms of, if you don't mind another question here or there, in terms of like roles that you'd like to play, have you? Is there like a particular, not like a particular role? What am I looking to say here? I'm trying to think of how to word this question. Come on, brain, spit it out. In terms of,
Iron Fist, Jedi,
yeah,
Lord of the Rings character.
okay,
Yeah, I mean anything that would allow me to combine my action skill set that I am continuing to develop and acting as I continue to again
Mhm.
improve in that capacity. Yeah, like Obi-Wan Kenobi would be like a dream
Ooh,
role for me.
something
Aragorn or
like that.
Legolas,
Yeah,
yeah, would be a dream role for me. Um, like the Flash, like
ooh,
the dream role for me. Like Flash is my favorite superhero. Um,
okay,
just because like acting, acting can be tough if you're just having conversations all day and having to have these, these emotional scenes, but then having like that action in there can spruce it up and then keep you on your toes and be exciting and give you like a reason to like work out and stay fit and to
Yeah.
keep your action skill set honed, for those action scenes.
In terms of, because I know in terms of action, like I know a lot of the bad guy, good guy. Does it matter? Do you like one? Does it like? Do you have a preference? Does it?
I think I just have a natural inclination like towards the hero role.
Because you're
and
personality wise, yeah.
Yeah, my personality like kind of fits more towards that. But also like I would love to explore like a villainous side
Yeah.
of me, and like, to be manipulative, to be deceptive, to be, I mean, not evil, because a villain is not just evil because it decided to be evil, but
right.
But yeah, but like to explore that side of me, because everyone has these multiple sides, and I think acting gives you like the okay to explore like what you can do and how you can come at roles in a different way, like, because you don't need to be like big and powerful and menacing to be a villain. Like you can have a child be a villain just based on their actions. It's not how they speak, it's not what they look like, it is the actions that make you evil or make you the villain. And so to be able to kind of come at that with my own spin and not try to be like this big, strong, brooding, like dark character, it's just like what's a spin you can throw in that to still make you
interesting?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I feel like sometimes the villains could be more interesting. I mean, depending on the with like the Joker, Darth Vader, some of the most iconic, characters are the people just love the bad guys because there's so much intrigue. I feel like the less you know about the villain, like you said, I feel that makes for a more intriguing, like Joker in Dark Knight. Where's he from? We don't know that much about him. He's so intriguing. And to me, Heath gave one of the best performances of all time. Just because, man, that's how you sell a villain.
Yeah, man.
Just somebody you hate him, but you kind of like him.
Yeah, I would love to explore that to see like what I can come up with.
Interesting.
That's different.
Interesting.
Because you're right. Yeah, like Heath's Joker was not. Yeah, like he's not a big, like powerful character. He's manipulative. He's deceptive.
It wasn't like Jack. I don't know if you've seen the '89 version with Jack. Jack was great, but that was again a different interpretation. Then you have Joaquin Phoenix. That film, have you seen Joker? I mean, that is just wow. That one I had to like take a step back, and I'm like, ooh, I feel a little bit sad after what that just was. That was an intense roller coaster ride.
Very real, real, man. Very real.
Wow. Another great performance of it. He just became. I mean, you look at how he becomes that character. It's an incredible process and something that would be really interesting to explore. You know, a comic book villain. Hey, I feel like there's a lot of great. I mean, especially Batman. I know you mentioned Flash. I'm sure he has a great rogues. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with him, but that would be interesting. Have you done any I know you've done Power Rangers. Have you done any other type of superhero fan? I think Spider-Man. Did I see you as Spider-Man? Were you dressed Spidey?
I mean, I wouldn't really call that a short film. It was more of a parkour video than anything else. I did do a Star Wars fan film that never got released with some friends of mine, and that ended up being a really good learning process. And there were good parts to it, and there were parts that could be improved, as always in any film. And then the Avatar: The Last Airbender film as well that I did. Yeah. So I guess like Aang he's a superhero at the end of the day. He is the Avatar.
Okay.
But yeah, still lots of room to grow and lots of room to explore.
So I was gonna say, I'm sure you would love to do a Lord of the Rings fan film because it sounds like that is your movie, right? That's you put it up there on the pedestal. It's like this is the be all end all.
Or even if it's not Lord of the Rings specifically, something like that world, like medieval swords, horses, bows and arrows.
Wow. Camping
in the woods, like the nature feel. Yeah, get away from the modern stuff.
Nice. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm really like. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or
I feel like I don't know. I feel like we've hit.
I know.
I feel like we've hit the checkpoint. Yeah, we've hit some great stuff. Yeah, really great questions, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. And if you want to get, plugs, links, they'll be down below. I'll make sure to include those in the description box for I know you have a YouTube channel, you're on Instagram. Where
Yeah.
can people find you?
So, yeah, my YouTube channel is just going to be my name. It's Omar Zaki.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram, it's Omar Zaki 0. And those are honestly my two main platforms. If you want to find me on my actual professional website, it's
Okay.
omar-zaki.com. But yeah, those are the three main places: YouTube, Instagram, and then my professional website. So I mean,
Nice.
if you guys are interested, yeah, just hop on over and take a look.
Sweet. All right. Well, I did want to say, Omar, again, thank you for giving me an hour, and I think we're up to an hour and a half of your time. Much appreciated.
No
I know you're a
problem.
busy man.
I'm so glad we were finally able to get together and knock this off the bucket list.
Absolutely. So that's one for the record books, folks. And you know where to find Omar. His links will be found down below in the description box. My links are, of course, youtube.com/DanielGeyser412 for all your latest thoughts on whenever I decide to upload a video on wrestling. Who knows when that will be? It's just because, well, that's wrestling. We'll talk about that later for another time. But, folks, we are out here. And, yeah, I just want to say thank you again, Omar, for doing this. This was awesome.
No problem. Thank you again so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.